Michelle Bullock, as RBA governor, was supposed to have the easy job. The rate hikes had been delivered by Phil Lowe. She just had to watch over the economy as they had the desired impact. That was the middle of this year. Of course, earlier this month, we had another rate rise. Clearly, inflation is not cooling enough. So where are we on our inflation journey and compared to a couple of other countries, the US and the UK? Let's have a look at annualised inflation first of all. So each of these figures is where their economies were in an annualised sense. Red for US, you can see from March 2021, inflation was taking off. Australia coming up above target inflation at 4%. And UK, you can see as we get to mid-2021 at about 3%. As this progresses, you're seeing the US here at 7%, the UK surging and Australia going pretty well. This is September 2021. Now we get to the end of that year. Australia is going up at 5%, well ahead of the target 2 to 3%, but the other economies well ahead of that. And then we get to just before the election, March 2022. Again, Australia's starting to be a real problem, but going much better than the US and the UK. As we progress through 2022, we're seeing the US and UK start to perhaps level off and Australia head higher. We're up towards 8%. This is the middle of 2022. Then we progress further and we see actually the US is starting to get inflation under control. The UK, it's going disastrously, 11%. Australia, again, still going upwards. And this is where it's starting to get more concerning for Australia. Is this good news? Early 2023. This is when we thought Phil Lowe was doing the final sort of rate hikes. And we're seeing Australia go down steadily here towards 6%. So heading towards 6%. The US, meanwhile, it's been on a journey there. It's gone way up and then way down. And the UK here, as you can see, still higher than the rest, but it is coming down. So this is the last September quarter where Australia did still record inflation of 5.4%. The concern as we go to October, we don't have the data yet for Australia for that monthly figure, but you can see the US and the UK are steadily trending down. And the concern is for Australia on the indications we have so far, we might not be doing the same. So whilst Australia, as you can see, has been lower than those countries for much of that journey, they're trending really well down now, and they're in fact lower than Australia. Perhaps we started our increase a little bit later, but right now, not going as well. So what is the trend? So the quarterly figures now, each quarter of inflation, what does that say about the journey, if you like, of these three nations? Again, when you're looking at Australia here, this quarterly figure is always going to be a lot lower than the annualised figure. You can see Australia in that period, when we're getting to the start of 2022, 2%, and then trending back downwards. You can see how high the US and the UK are here, and you'll see the US go on a really bumpy journey. Look, negative territory here. The UK way down, Australia pretty steady at just below 2%. Again, that's a quarterly figure, so it should be 0.75%. This is very high inflation. UK bouncing back up here, the US still in negative territory, but it's not job done for them. You can see them surge back up to Australia's level. And Australia's journey here looks to be a positive one because we've peaked a lot lower and we seem to be coming down here. This is June 2023, and we're going there, right there at that point. Our quarterly inflation is about where it should be. It's close to that 0.75%. This is the issue for Australia. In the next month, we're going up as the US and the UK are coming down and quite steadily there. And then when we go to that October month as well, which we don't have yet for Australia, we do for the UK and the US, you can see they're way down here. They had 0% months in those particular months. So again, this is the concern. Not that Australia's had a worse journey on inflation so far. We haven't seen those huge peaks. We haven't been higher for longer yet. But are we going to stay above the target there? If you think that target of 0.75%, we're going to stay above that for quite some time beyond our other economies there, US and UK. What's driving inflation? This will be one of the concerns for the government. So this is what we're talking about now, is Australian inflation, the 1.2% quarterly inflation figure from that September quarter. Transport 3.2% is actually relatively good news because more than 7% of that is petrol, as in petrol prices were rising at 7%. We can see that come down pretty quickly. So that's not a huge concern. That's not stuck in the economy. This is the worry, 2.2% on housing. We're talking about rent, water bills, electricity bills, and so on. We've seen them high. We're going to see them continue to be high. And we've got immigration. People are coming here looking for a house, a tight rental market, and homes not being built quick enough. So that's a concern because that 2.2%, which remember, if all things were equal, that would be 0.75% or lower. It's more than 3 times higher than that. So that's a concern. Communications, mobile and internet, so that's stubbornly high. That's not necessarily going to come down, but might not be too bad a factor. Insurance will be the other worry. Are we going to have a summer of disasters? And as a result, we see higher premiums as well. So a couple of areas in particular of concern: housing and insurance. If they keep driving inflation and keeping that core inflation above the band level, well, we might see more rate hikes. We will see.